George called the sheriff, right? He eventually got word to the sheriff, right? And again, if you ever watch this channel, there's one of the things around here that helps us determine whether or not this was a legitimate event or not. Not necessarily that the sheriff was involved, is that he gives his whole name, right? So, Deputy Sheriff Joe Dunn from Bellingham, Washington. Now that is America, right? So he crossed the border into British Columbia after getting word from Georgie or passed down through, however they got the mail going back and forth about the incident. He loaded up and went up there to investigate it, right? And I think this is really important to know, right? That he went up there to investigate this incident. And throughout the entire life of Joe Dunn, the physical evidence that he collected that we're about to tell you about has never been debunked or disputed. He never denied it as well. So, Steve, do you know the fascinating fact about Sheriff Joseph Dunn and this thing? Fun fact for Enigmites?
No, I don't think so.
This was actually the first known U.S. law enforcement officer to investigate a Sasquatch encounter. Was Deputy Sheriff Joseph Dunn. The first time ever that a U.S. law enforcement agent ever investigated a Bigfoot incident was 1941.
There we go.
Ruby Creek.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was amazing. So, this is what he found. He went up there, right? The physical evidence that he found. He treated it like, and again, it's important to know that he treated it like a crime scene. He specifically said he took this very serious. He treated it like a crime scene, right? So, during a crime scene investigation, he took pictures and gathered physical evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his determination was that he found 17-inch long footprints, humanoid in nature. He said it was clearly bipedal, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Worked on 2 feet. He also found around the Chapman property, near the house and the other creature, and in the direction that the creature had fled, and also around a 4 to 5 foot high fence. That he stepped over this fence like it was no problem, right? He clearly looked that he just, over the fence that was 5 feet, right? So lending how tall it was into basically confirming her that it was an 8 foot tall something, right?
Mm-hmm.
He also noted in his report that the entire property had been ransacked and that the 55 gallon barrel of salted fish had been broken in half with the lid torn apart. Not from a bear. That's not how a bear would do it. There was no claw marks on it. He said basically it looked like somebody went like a can and just opened it. That's what it looked like.
Yep.
Just popped it in half, right?
And that no tools were used, and it was just ripped in half, like you said.
Also, he said that the fish that were up there, based on the remains that he found, were partially eaten. Like something would bite it and throw it away, where a bear would just go, right? And he says that when he went inside the house, that some items in the house had looked like things had been disturbed or rummaged through. But he did say, however, based on fairness, that this could have been after they left, and you can't rule out somebody just passed through, right? You can't rule it out. He says, but it did look like something had been moved. Something went in there and moved it around, and he also noted that it wasn't torn apart like a bear would go in there and just ramage. And he also, this is something that I thought was really important. That I never seen another Bigfoot investigator put in there. There was no animal dung around the house. No bear dung, no deer dung, no other dung, period. So there was nothing, just letting it go. No cow dung or nothing, right? So I thought that was pretty good, right? We never heard that before, right? That no one put that in the report, right? Yeah, it's nothing was pooping up here. Right. So,
which is, makes sense. Wild animals, they go nonstop.
Right? He says, so there was no
area.
Yeah. He said there was no dung, right? Yeah, right. So I thought that was cool, right?
Yeah.
He did take the first plaster cast down there. He took a plaster cast of one of the footprints, and as an important detail, all serious Bigfoot researchers will take a cast if they come across it, even if it's like a trophy. I've seen a couple, man. They're amazing, right? He did the same thing. Now he says, however, over time, the original cast was lost, but photographs still remain of it, and they were picked up by these other researchers, right? So
yeah, I was gonna say I saw something that said that he kept the cast and it reportedly got broken and thrown away at some point in the mid 50s. I have here. So, but yeah.
And so he also put down here in his report that I think was very impressive. This is a very good report, right? He said there was no sign of costume tracks, like somebody got dressed in a costume. He said there were no traces of vehicles or any indicator of human trickery. So he ruled out fiduciary enigmas. There was no fiduciary going on up here. Something went down, right? Wasn't me and this guy dressed up, in the Scooby-Doo coming down, right? Trying to get the gold from the land, right? None of that. He also said that her name. He also said that Jeannie, was that her name, Jeannie, Steve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jeannie Chapman was found to be genuine in sound mind and body. Her fear was genuine as well, and she proposed no exaggerations into her story, right? Mm-hmm. So he even gave an account of the adult's mental health state on went down. Man, that's a good report, man. It really is,
that's
man.
That's a very thorough report.
It's a very thorough report right there, man. So he laid it down there as well. In fact, his report was so thorough that it was used by these other two famous Sasquatch researchers, and I apologize, I've never heard of these people before, but John Green and Renee DeHanden. I don't even know. That's probably a dude named Renee, probably from the French-speaking side of Canada. And John Green was up there. I don't know who John Green is, but he went up there. And so it was also, and based on their reporting and their investigation, these two later addendums to his report said that her story never changed. It remained too consistent, too detailed, and it was grounded in real fear to dismiss as a hoax. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, Enigmites. She didn't know what she was looking at. She never called it a Bigfoot. She never heard of a Bigfoot before. And before this time, he was the very first ever, law enforcement agency to do a Bigfoot, investigation. There was no blueprint for her to fake it. She didn't so you can't say, oh, she's just talking about a Bigfoot story. No, she was like the OG Bigfoot story. Yeah. Right, Steve?
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steve. So, Steve, thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I got more to add. If
I do. No, add it. Throw it. Come on.
There's some things. So one of the things that, have you ever heard of Ivan Sanderson? No. He's I hadn't heard of him before doing research either, but apparently he's a pretty famous. You dropped him like you went to high school with him. Ivan Sanderson. Yeah, my buddy Ivan. Ivan. He's a famed, very early cryptozoologist. He's written a lot of books on Bigfoots, aliens, all sorts of things. He, after this had happened, he interviewed George and Jeannie. And so one thing that he noted, and it's funny that I had seen, was you had talked about earlier about the blanket, how he put the blanket over the children.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.